Welcome back to the 2016-2017 NBA preview. My name is Josh, your Envyerz, and with me today is my co-host like usual.
How's it going, guys? King of the fourth quarter. Welcome back to the NBA preview.
Today we are covering the 27th team that I have ranked, the Sacramento Kings. Let's take a look at what the Sacramento Kings did last season. The Sacramento Kings were a 33-49 team. Last season was a completely underwhelming season for the Sacramento Kings team. They had the talent on paper. They had guys like Rajon Rondo, Rudy Gay, DeMarcus Cousins. That team looked like a playoff contending team, especially with teams like the Rockets falling off a little bit, the Dallas Mavericks, and the Memphis Grizzlies. This team could have easily been in the playoffs if they clicked on all cylinders, but unfortunately, the big thing last season was the coaching position with George Karl. DeMarcus Cousins did not seem to get along with George Karl at all. He wanted Mike Malone to coach his team, and he even came out personally and said this team would have made the playoffs if Mike Malone was there. How do you feel about that?
I think I would agree with him. They had the pieces to be okay, but here they are. They find themselves in the lottery again. It's really important that a coach has a hold of every player in their locker room, especially their star player. And they definitely didn't have that, so I think it cost them a bunch.
The management is really killing this team. This Kings team hasn't been good in what seems like forever.
Yeah, worst ran organization.
Last year, I kind of jumped the gun and had this team ranked 19. I'm not going to do that again because the Kings continue to show they are one of the worst ran organizations in the league. The management is absolutely god-awful, and I really do hope something happens with this Kings team to help them get back on track and reach the playoffs. So let's move on to the offseason moves for the Sacramento Kings team. Let's see if they got any better. And, they acquired Aaron Flalo, Garrett Temple, Matt Barnes, Anthony Tolliver, and Lamar Patterson. That doesn't seem that bad. But if we look at what they lost Marco Bellinelli, Quincy Acey, their starting point guard, Rajon Rondo, and a nice promising backup shooting guard, point guard in Seth Curry, who would have been extremely useful for them if we take a look at the rotation later on. But they drafted Papagiannis at number 13, Malachi Richardson at 22, and Skylar Bissiere at 28, considering they did trade down the number 8 pick for the 13th and 28th.
They made what I would consider one really good move in the offseason. That's picking up Skylar Bissiere, especially as late as they got him. It's really, they don't lose anything from that. They got him 28th, as Josh said, and they have a young guy who was the number one scouted player coming out of high school. Number one scouted player coming out of high school. People projecting him to go first in this draft before the season started. And I don't think he was used right while he was in college, but now he's in the NBA. Probably not the best organization for him to play for, especially with
all those centers. My God.
Oh yeah, especially with all the centers, and because it seems like they can't win in the draft. Ben McLemore still hasn't hit his full potential. Nick Stauskas didn't really work out there, so they haven't done really great things with their drafted prospects. Hopefully that changes with Scal. They pick up 2 journeymen and Anthony Tolliver and Garrett Temple. I think Anthony Tolliver has been on 8 teams in his 8 seasons in the NBA, but from what I've read, he's a really good locker room player, so that's pretty good, I guess, especially on a team that kind of needs that.
The one absolute disgusting move was on draft night, which is essentially the offseason, I guess. The Marquise Chris trade for Skylar Bissiere and Papagiannis. It wasn't straight up for them, but that's who they drafted at the picks. They traded away the number 8th pick for the number 13th and 28th pick. And I don't feel like that's a good trade-off right there. The Phoenix Suns were able to steal from this terribly ran organization, the Sacramento Kings. I feel like they needed a stretch four like Marquise Chris to back up Boogie, considering they don't have a true backup power forward. I mean, Anthony Tolliver, like really, that's going to be the guy coming off the bench, the first man off? That's not. I'd much rather try to develop a young guy such as Marquise Chris, who has a higher ceiling than Anthony Tolliver.
So when I watched Papagiannis in the offseason, he looked really overwhelmed. I mean, I guess you can expect that from a player coming over from a different country, but I don't know if that's what you want with your 13th overall pick.
The draft looks really, really shady just considering all the previous draft picks that didn't pan out except for DeMarcus Cousins with this Sacramento Kings team for quite some time. So let's take a look at the Sacramento Kings rotation for this season. The projected starting lineup looks like Darren Collison, Aaron Aflalo, Rudy Gay, DeMarcus Cousins, and Willie Cauley-Stein. The bench, oh man, that bench. Garrett Temple, Ben McLemore, Matt Barnes, Anthony Tolliver, and Kosta Koufos. Oof. No backup point guard.
And that's surprising because there's still quality backup point guards on the market. So it's so surprising that they're looking at Garrett Temple, who is kind of a combo guard, to be their starting point guard.
I could easily see that being a problem for the Sacramento Kings team, and I feel like if they don't sign anybody by the time the season starts, they're definitely going to need to do a trade for a backup point guard because they don't want to become the Brooklyn Nets and have Darren Collison get injured and then have nobody else step up there. So
right, and even right now there are still quality backup point guards left. Like Mario Chalmers, even though he did tear his ACL last season, he is definitely backup worthy. I think Norris Cole is still on the market. Ty Lawson, he needs a resurgence of his career. Like, there are quality backups still there. So it's so surprising to me that they still haven't made that move. They're trusting that Garrett Temple can run the offense in the second unit.
They have a lot of shooting guards and a lot of centers. Like, they have Malachi Richardson and Ben McLemore. Like, I'm not sure what they're going to do with that whole situation because Malachi Richardson is essentially he has a better jump shot than Ben McLemore, but I feel like they're essentially the same player, and especially in the Sacramento Kings like system, I feel like they're both going to be pretty useless this season.
Yeah, I would say so.
So
too.
It sucks to see like Malachi Richardson just get dumped behind guys like Aaron Aflalo and Ben McLemore, unless they're going to play him as a combo guard and make him play point guard, which is highly unlikely, but you never know. Skylar Bissiere and Papagiannis aren't going to be getting that much minutes considering the amount of big men they already do have. I feel like this team is a trade away from being better than what they are now, because what they are now isn't that good, even though if they do have DeMarcus Cousins and Rudy Gay.
I'm still surprised Rudy Gay's on the roster considering all the trade rumors that were going on this offseason. I mean, it seems like I've seen it all. But rumors are just rumors, but I've seen so many different rumors. I saw the Bulls, I saw the Celtics. Like, it's surprising that he's still there. Pacers, like every team you could think of, I've seen rumors about. But he's still there.
Expiring contract. We'll see what happens with this Kings team, but they definitely do need a trade just in case. Insurance, you know? They need some insurance. Because if they get hit by a car, they're staying there for quite some time. So let's move on to the projections for the Sacramento Kings team. The Sacramento Kings team went 33-49 last season, like we already said. Over, under, where do you see the Sacramento Kings team being this year?
I would say they're going to be under. Because Rondo was such a big part of that offense that I don't know how they're going to do it. The Sacramento Kings team led the league in pace, and that was mostly when Rondo was in the game. And if one thing happens to Darren Collison, what now? One thing happens to Boogie, what now? Like, I don't see them getting to 33 wins. Again, I don't think their team improved much, so I'm going to say under.
I'm going to have to agree with you right there because they had George Karl. Even though if George Karl and DeMarcus Cousins didn't get along, I feel like George Karl is a better coach overall than Dave Yeager. Although Dave Yeager is a good coach, he isn't on the level of George Karl, who's experienced, and who knows if DeMarcus Cousins is going to like him because he has attitude problems. So I definitely see this team not winning 33 games next season. They just don't have it with this rotation that they have now. They definitely need to make some moves if they want to even compete for that 8 seed in the playoffs. And I feel like that 8 seed in the playoffs this year is open. So
it's open. It definitely is, yeah.
If they're able to get it together and get a few trades going, they might make the playoffs, but that's a huge might considering there's a lot better Western Conference team, if healthy, that will take that spot.
This team has a lot of holes in it, and you can't win with that many holes.
So with that said, that is our projection for the Sacramento Kings team. We have them being 27th overall in the league. Going to be a bottom feeder once again. And hopefully, if they get a draft lottery pick this upcoming year, they don't trade it away and trade down. They definitely need to rebuild now, just in case anything happens with DeMarcus Cousins.
Definitely. I definitely agree with that. They got to get something going. And this current roster is just not it.
So, like I say in every video, be sure to leave a like and share this on any social media that you do have. It really helps the video be seen by the mass majority. It really helps me out as well, considering all the hours and effort I put into this, making the transition and editing and getting it up to YouTube. So it'd be greatly appreciated, and I would love to see the support. Links to our channels and Twitters should be in the description as well. So be sure to check that out if you haven't already. My name is Josh, your Envyerz, and thank you for watching this episode of the NBA preview covering the Sacramento Kings.
Been a king of the fourth. Thanks so much, guys.